3 years ago, I concluded a very impactful academic research study where I answered the question, how did Cowessess First Nation develop and implement its Miopima-Tiswin Act to retake control over its children? I found that years after the implementation of the Act, not a single Cowessess child was apprehended and placed into government child welfare. I had the opportunity to disseminate my research to thousands of people all over Canada and beyond. Amazing research is being conducted by Racialized faculty and graduate students all over Canada in fields from biology to psychology, from public policy to public health, from research in film to research in education. Racialized researchers are doing amazing work to solve real-life problems. And now they're here to share it with you in very simple terms. My name is Kwaku Ayisi, and this is Academic Research Made Simple. Welcome everyone to Academic Research Made Simple, or ARMS podcast. My name is Kwaku Ayisi. I am a PhD candidate at the Johnson Shoyama Graduate School of Public Policy at the University of Regina. A lot of great research is being conducted all over Canada by racialized faculty and racialized graduate students. And today we have an excellent graduate student, Stephen Darko, with us today as a guest. Stephen is originally from Ghana. He graduated from the University of Ghana, Legon, with a first-class honors in social work. Stephen moved to the United States to further his education in 2018 and graduated with a Master of Science in Project Management from Northeastern University, Boston. Stephen is currently pursuing a Master of Public Policy at the Johnson Shoyama Graduate School of Public Policy at the University of Regina under the supervision of Dr. Margot Hurlbert, Tier 1 Canada Research Chair. His thesis is on the empirical application of Kingdon's three streams theory to the Small Modular Reactors, or SMRs, deployment policy idea in Saskatchewan, Canada. Welcome to the podcast, Stephen.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I appreciate it.
So Stephen, can you tell us a bit about your journey to becoming a Master of Public Policy student?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. So to start with, I would say my journey started with just an email from my then potential supervisor, that's Dr. Margot, when I was in the US. So when I applied to the Johnson Shoyama Graduate School of Public Policy to study MPP, that is Master of Public Policy, I was there, and then I received an email from my supervisor saying that she's chanced on my application, and she realized that I wanted to do something in relation to social policy, but she's into energy and climate policy. So if I'm interested, we can schedule a meeting, and then talk over it, and that was it. So she set up a Zoom meeting, we met, and then she assured me that she really want to work with me. So if I'm interested, she can actually assure me of admission and then some sort of funding to come work with her on her project. So that was it.
That's awesome.
So before my admission letter came, officially, I knew I was going to be admitted. So I was only preparing towards coming to Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can you tell us a bit about your field, public policy, or even more specifically, climate change policy or sustainability policy, and some of the different research that is being done within this field?
Yeah, sure. I'll start by saying that climate research is currently one of the, hottest areas or something like that, because it has really garnered a lot of attention in recent times. And researchers have looked at so many different, let's say, angles, right? So when it comes to climate policy, you have researchers looking at global climate governance. That's where the work of the international organizations like IPCC come in with regards to climate adaptation strategies and steps. And you also have researchers looking at climate adaptation and resilient strategies, right? And you also have researchers looking at, let's say, energy transition and policy innovation. And this is where my research is kind of situated, right? And then you also have researchers looking at public perception and behavioral changes towards, climate change mitigation. And I know my supervisor has done a lot of work with regards to this area. Yeah, okay. So that's what I can say about climate policy.
Awesome. You mentioned IPCC. What does that stand for?
Yeah, so IPCC is stands for International Panel on Climate Change.
International Panel on Climate Change. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
And it's like an intergovernmental panel where members come from different, countries. Yeah, and they come together to conduct research and stuff in regards to climate change and adaptation strategies.
Awesome. Now, to your research topic specifically, how would you frame or describe it to a general non-technical audience?
Okay. So basically, my research is to look at why there is a window of opportunity open for SMR deployment policy idea in Saskatchewan, right? So in simple term, window of opportunity means the right moment for action, right? So I would say that to the to non-technical audience, I would say that my research seeks to find out why is it the right time for Saskatchewan to look at using using small powerful technology like SMRs to produce electricity in a cleaner way, which is also environmentally helpful. And what are the reasons, the problems, and the decisions that are bringing all these issues together?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you easily understand that, but that's how I'll put it.
Absolutely, I do. Yeah, I think it's clear.
Yeah.
The way you describe what window of opportunity means. So yeah, no, it is clear. What made you decide to research on this specific topic?
Yeah, I say my motivation stems from the fact that as an individual, I'd always wanted to be in a position where I can contribute directly to solving problems within society. And this motivation actually informed my choice of program for bachelor studies, that was social work, where I get the opportunity to kind of link marginalized people to resources available in the society to help them solve their own problems. And also project management, like looking at better ways and means to manage projects successfully to make sure that the intended benefits are being, enjoyed by stakeholders, right? And then with the public policy and this research, I believe I stand in a position to influence government decisions with regards to, with this particular one, energy generation in Saskatchewan, right? Because the findings are actually going to inform what direction government should go, let's say with regards to budget allocation when it comes to SMR development, right? So in a way, I'm contributing to, solving a serious problem in society, which is climate change and, let's say, energy security, right? Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So how would you describe the main issue or the main problem that you're trying to find out more information about and ultimately make recommendations for?
Yeah, so climate change and, let's say, energy security are like two intertwined societal problems because we are all affected by the climate, regardless your geographical location. If something goes wrong with the climate, you will be one way or the other affected. And we are also affected by energy security issues because energy, I see it to be the main driver of our economy. We need energy for everything, right? So then climate change and energy security to me becomes like a very important issue that needs to be tackled now if we really want to leave a better earth or like a better environment for the future generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can you also speak about some of the context or history regarding it could be either small modular reactor SMR deployment or climate change within? You said you're looking in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
So can you tell us some of the maybe context around it for those who don't really understand why maybe it is a better choice than another option and all of that?
Yeah. So during my interviews, I got to realize that Saskatchewan has been looking at, nuclear energy development since like the 60s.
Okay.
So trying to develop a new form of nuclear energy that is SMR is not like something new to Saskatchewan. But I will start from 2008, where the Ontario Power Generation, that is OPG, tried to build a traditional reactor over here in Saskatchewan to produce energy. And the people of Saskatchewan actually refused it. Majority of Saskatchewan residents kicked against it, right? Because they were concerned about the environmental impact of nuclear waste, right? So after that, event or occurrence, the Saskatchewan government actually commissioned, set up a committee to actually look into how they can, add value to the uranium mine in Saskatchewan. Because if you care to know, Saskatchewan is one of the largest exporters of uranium globally. So they are like a global leader when it comes to uranium exports, right? So at that time in 2009, 2010, they wanted to find ways and means to add value to their uranium, right? And, the commission's report revealed that even though Saskatchewan residents kicked against, like, let's say, building nuclear power, they still left the window open for, let's say, more advanced form of nuclear energy, that is SMRs, right? So let's say, moving on to, let's say, like 2015, where the Paris Agreement actually came into being, where signatories, including Canada, were actually supposed to make voluntary commitments towards cutting down emissions, let's say greenhouse gas emissions, which are recognized as highest contributors of climate change, right? So under that Paris Agreement, the the federal government came out with a 2030 emissions plan, which actually prohibits the use of coal beyond 2030 and prohibits the use of natural gas for electricity generation beyond 2035. Okay. So in that instance, Saskatchewan then have to look for alternative ways of producing reliable baseload energy or power, in the sense that Saskatchewan is predominantly dependent on fossil fuels, that is coal and natural gas, for electricity generation.
Okay.
In Saskatchewan, right? So with the urgent need to phase out coal, now what are the options for Saskatchewan? Some are advocating for wind power, some are advocating for solar power, some are advocating for natural gas, some are also advocating for nuclear power in the form of SMRs. But here's the situation. Hydropower, solar power, and wind power. Let let me exclude, let's say, hydropower
Okay.
for now.
Okay.
Right. So when you talk about wind and let's say solar,
yeah,
they can produce baseload power, reliable baseload power, in the extent to the extent that they are all dependent on weather or climate variability. So if the wind is not blowing or the sun is not shining, we are not gonna get, like constant or reliable source of power, right? And when you come to hydropower, Saskatchewan do not have that hydro capacity to use hydropower as their baseload energy. So then we go to SMRs or nuclear power, right? Which has the ability to produce reliable, safe baseload energy for the whole of Saskatchewan. Yes. So that is where we are now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what is the literature saying regarding SMRs or other findings in available literature regarding your topic in general?
Yeah, so with my literature search, I actually looked at some studies on SMR development and deployment in Saskatchewan specifically. And there has been studies on public perception, on nuclear deployment, right? And its ability to produce clean energy, right? And I think one of the findings is that generally people in Saskatchewan do support nuclear power, right? Despite what happened in 2008 and 2009. Now, like majority of Saskatchewan residents support nuclear power, but they are somehow concerned about how best we can actually dispose nuclear waste so that we wouldn't have another Fukushima or Chernobyl or the 3 Mile Island incident happening in Saskatchewan, right? And there are also studies that looked at the geographical factors that actually affect like the siting of, let's say, SMR technology, right? And I think that study actually identified southern Saskatchewan as a perfect spot for, let's say, SMR development or deployment in Saskatchewan. And, there are also studies that looked at people's perception of Saskatchewan power futures.
Okay.
So if we are dealing away with coal and natural gas generation, what do people think are the best options for Saskatchewan? And SMRs or nuclear energy is still like getting the attention. Like it's coming on top as one of the best options for Saskatchewan. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think another study also looked at, let's say, people's place attachment with regards to power generation, right? So it's like this study found out that, the proximity of people to a particular power source influence their decision or their options for a particular power source, right? So let's say people living in Estevan, they kind of favor coal-fired generation for electricity because they are kind of closer, and they first-hand experience the impacts of coal generation in the area. So to them, they can say they don't have any problem with any company citing coal plants in their community because they know it, like they know the impacts of it, and they know how to handle it, right? So that study concludes that people will favor one energy generation source to the other based on their proximity, to the source.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are some of the research, like peer-reviewed research, that I chanced on with regards to nuclear development in Saskatchewan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. What are your research questions that you're trying to answer or find information for?
Okay, my research question. So my main research question is why is the window of opportunity open for SMR deployment policy idea in Saskatchewan, Canada, right? And I'm using a policy making a policy making theory called the Kingdon three-stream theory as the framework for my analysis, right? So my sub questions were actually grouped based on the components of the theory. So the theory kind of have three main parts. That is the problem stream, policy stream, and the polity stream.
Okay.
So with the problem stream, the sub question over there says, what are the pressing climate change and energy issues identified in Saskatchewan that demand exploring SMRs, as a viable solution or option? And then when you go to the policy stream, the question over there is, how have provincial energy policies and regulations changed over time to enable SMR development in Saskatchewan, right? And when I go to the politics, you are looking at the politics. So I'm like, what are the stakeholder or public interest, regarding SMR, or stakeholder or public interest that are actually affecting SMR development in Saskatchewan?
Okay, their level of acceptability.
Yes, and the political environment, is it favorable or something like that? Is it favorable or not?
Right.
And how do people perceive SMRs? Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because according to the theory, no matter the let's say advancement you make with regards to the technology, when people do not accept it, or when the political environment is not friendly, you can never, deploy that technology. People are not going to accept it, and you are doing it for the people. So when they do not accept it, then it's not going to be successful. Yeah, so these are some of the parts that I looked at with regards to my questions.
Okay, you did mention Kingdon's theory. Just like a summary of what the theory is. What does it, for those who might not be familiar with Kingdon's three streams theory?
Okay, so basically, this is an agenda setting theory or policy making theory, which was, developed by one scholar that we call John Kingdon. John Kingdon, and in, let's say, 1985. So this has become one of the popular theories that are used by policy researchers with regards to, analyzing, situations and their research and stuff, right? So basically, this theory, says that in every, policy environment, there are three independent streams flowing in the same direction. And for a policy change to occur, these streams need to converge at a point to create a window of opportunity for policy action.
Okay.
Through the actions of who he termed as, or people he termed as, policy entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So the problem stream is flowing this way in a direct line. The policy stream is also flowing in the same line, and the polity stream are flowing in the same line. But there will be a point where they converge to create a window of opportunity by actions of policy entrepreneurs to enable policy action.
Okay.
Right? Or to enable the problem to fall into the political agenda of government for a subsequent, policy change or adoption.
Okay. So in other words, it's not enough for the problem stream to just meet the policy stream.
No.
It's not enough for the policy and political to just meet. All three have to converge at the same place for there to be a window of opportunity. And then that is the time at which policy change occurs.
Yes.
Wonderful. How would you describe your methodology or the way that you have gone by answering those research questions?
Yeah, so basically, I employed the qualitative case study method for this research, right? Because I wanted to delve deeper into the issues surrounding SMR development, specifically in Saskatchewan, right? So yeah, and then with the data collection methods, I sort of used let's say I used purposive sampling technique to kind of recruit participants for the study, and because
when you say purposive,
yeah,
in my mind, I understand that as the opposite of random.
yeah,
So it was intentional.
intentional.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wanted to know, policymakers or stakeholders who are directly involved in making environmental and energy policies within Saskatchewan's constructions,
Okay.
opinions or views on the issues surrounding the SMR deployment policy idea in Saskatchewan. So I had to be specific. Right. I couldn't just recruit anybody at all because not everybody, have in-depth knowledge with regards to what is happening in Saskatchewan. Right. So then I had to be specific by, recruiting government officials who are involved, policy researchers, let's say environmental groups, and politicians for the study.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how I went about it.
Okay, awesome. And so did you conduct interviews or?
Yeah. So I conducted interviews and I kind of reviewed some documents as well.
Okay.
To get some information regarding the issues at hand in Saskatchewan when it comes to SMR deployment.
Awesome. Okay. How far are you in your research? Have you gotten any significant findings yet, or you're still working towards that?
Yeah, I would say I'm actually at the concluding stage of my research. I've conducted the interviews during the summer of last year, and I've been on the analysis to date. And now I think I'm done with the analysis. I'm now trying to write a report of my findings at the moment. Okay. Yes.
So have you made any conclusions yet regarding your findings, or you're still in the process of doing that?
Yeah, initial conclusion that I've come up with is the fact that, I, using the theory, I wanted to find out if actually, this policy or these three streams are flowing in Saskatchewan. Right. So based on the analysis, it is clear that all these streams are flowing in Saskatchewan.
That is the problem stream.
The problem stream. Yeah. So the problem stream, we can say it is flowing because, like, generally, people recognize climate change and energy transition as a serious issue that need to be tackled in Saskatchewan.
Okay.
Right? And we see the policy stream is also flowing currently because, there is an identifiable solution for these policy problems, which is in SMRs. Right? And we will say the policy stream is also flowing because there is high government support for SMR development or deployment in Saskatchewan, where you see, the premier committing huge sums of money towards research and development of SMRs. And, you also see high public support and acceptance for the technology as the most viable option for Saskatchewan in this moment when we're looking at cutting down our emissions or phasing out coal by 2030 and phasing out natural gas generation by 2035.
Wonderful.
Right.
Okay. So, given this information, are we looking at maybe the next couple of years for full adoption and implementation, or do you not know that information yet?
Yeah, so the first SMR in Saskatchewan is scheduled to be in operation by the mid-2030s.
Okay.
Yeah, and there has been a lot of development towards that, right? Okay. So Saskatchewan has done a feasibility study and has chosen GE Hitachi's BWRX 300 technology as the most suitable technology for Saskatchewan, right? So now the technology is ready. They've made a selection, and they've also gone ahead to identify Estevan as a potential host community for our first SMRs.
Okay.
And there's also continuous engagement going on with, indigenous right holders, First Nation communities, and, host communities as well, and all stakeholder groups.
Okay.
There's a continuous engagement going on. So Saskatchewan is actually making big strides towards its first SMR deployment.
Okay.
And this will come after Ontario's own, which is scheduled to be in operation by 2028.
Okay.
Yeah, so Saskatchewan and Ontario have both selected the same technology. So Ontario's, deployment will be as a great lesson learned for Saskatchewan as we seek to develop or deploy the same technology.
Okay.
In Saskatchewan.
Okay.
Yeah.
In very simple terms, if you were to explain why it all matters, and you might have spoken about it a bit initially, but if you were explaining to maybe a 10 or 15-year-old why this research matters and the implications for present and the future, how would you explain to them?
Yeah, so in simple terms, I would say that without this research, or let's say without SMR deployment in Saskatchewan, then we might face issues with our power generation. Because if there is a strict regulation to stop using coal and natural gas, which Saskatchewan has in abundance, then we wouldn't have a reliable baseload for our power supply. And that will have ripple effects on our economy, because there are a lot of heavy industries in Saskatchewan that rely on electricity or power for their operations, right? So if you don't have power, then how do they operate? And that is also going to affect our GDP drastically, right? So I would say it is a very important issue that needs to be tackled, right? And if we are also not tackling climate change right now, then that means that our great-grandchildren and our children may not even have a better place to live, because the environment will keep on polluting over and over and over and over again.
Okay.
And it will get to a point where you can't actually exist on this earth anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. Your experience as a racialized researcher, now you can answer that either on a personal level or from what you've heard or seen with other racialized researchers. What would you say are maybe some of the opportunities and some of the barriers that you've had or faced as a racialized researcher so far?
Yeah, I think I would want to answer this on a general level, sort of, because personally, I don't think I've, encountered a lot of difficulties in my research as, let's say, a Black person from a third world country, Ghana.
Okay.
Because to me, my supervisor has been very helpful. He asked me in so many different angles. She's helped me. He helped me, with sending emails to the identified participants, and all those kind of stuff. And she's been helping me in so many ways, right? Wonderful. So for me, I've not faced so much difficulties regarding my research. But generally, as a racialized person, you can think of issues like, not having access to funding opportunities sometimes. And you can also talk about issues like, people not accepting your views, or like people not, putting much value on your research activities and stuffs.
Okay.
Which might be very, very worrying, because you have to put in a lot of work to research into a particular issue. And when you are done at the end of the day and people do not value your contributions, then it becomes, a very serious situation. And I think in some institutions, as a researcher, you sometimes need mentors, right? But in some institutions, you will not have, let's say, a lot of racialized, let's say, professors or researchers available who can, in a way, serve as some sort of inspiration to you, or like people who understand you, understand your values and beliefs, and sometimes you can easily go to them, and ask for their opinions regarding your research and stuff, because some people sometimes find it difficult going to see particular, let's say, professors from different racial groups, because of stereotyping. They say they might not like Black students, they might be discriminatory, so you are not motivated to approach them. Yeah, these are some of the barriers that I can think of generally.
Okay. Yeah. But it's wonderful to hear that, on a personal level, that your supervisor has been incredibly helpful to your journey. It matters a lot. So that's great. My next question has to do with open research, and I'm just trying to gauge if you've heard about it before and maybe what your thoughts are. The government of Canada is committed to making federally funded science open, by helping to generate research ideas and making data and publications readily available and understandable. So open science, open research includes things like having more access to, let's say, research that has been conducted. Because some research you either have to be a student to access, or you have to pay to access some articles.
Exactly.
But there's some that are readily available to everybody, and that's what the government of Canada is advocating for more and more. And there's also like open data sharing, and open access publications. Sorry, I already talked about open access publications, like open research where different collaborators from different parts of the world contribute on one project, and exchange ideas, and also an open peer review process where, because currently as it is, peer review is done blindly, where if you publish in a paper, you have blind peer reviewers. And part of the advocacy is for that to become open as well. So these are just examples of what the government of Canada is advocating for. And so I'm just wondering if what you know about it, and maybe what you think about, maybe one or more aspects of it.
Yeah, I think it's a great initiative because it's definitely going to encourage, collaborations and partnerships, or let's say knowledge sharing among researchers, which is key to conducting a good research, right? Because you need to share ideas, you need to hear what people are doing, you need to get access to other researchers and learn how they are going about their research, which can also inform the ways you can go about yours, right? And with the open peer review, I think is going to enhance transparency and also encourage constructive criticisms from reviewers, right? Because now, if you have knowledge about the fact that people or the person or the researcher whose work you are reviewing know your identity, then you'll be more cautious about the way you go about doing your things. So that is how I feel about that. And I think it is also going to encourage more people to conduct research, because now you are rest assured of getting access to most of the information that you might need, or most of the data that you might need to conduct your own research, right? Because now it is easier for you to get access to information as it used to be before, right? Because some information you need to pay before you get it, like you mentioned. So me myself, I don't have money, so if I'm trying to help solve a situation and I have to pay to get access to information, then I'm definitely going to be discouraged to push to unravel some some knowledge or some issues regarding certain problems and stuff, right? So yeah, that is my general thoughts on open science or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. The next question has to do with future or questions for future research. Now, it's okay if you've not already thought about it, but usually or a lot of times after research is conducted, the researcher would have questions for further research that others can, maybe an extension of what they've done, or within that scope of research that they've conducted. Have you thought about any questions for or topics for further research that could be an extension of yours? It's okay if you haven't. But
I haven't really, but thinking about my research right now, it's like now a lot of jurisdictions or like let's say countries are trying to deploy SMRs, right? And even in Canada now, Ontario is going first, Saskatchewan will follow, and then New Brunswick or Alberta will follow, right? So, my research findings are going to be readily available, let's say, by the close of this year.
Okay.
And so other researchers in the future can sort of do a comparative, let's say, analysis of the studies, right? So they can look at my study and compare it to, let's say, a different jurisdiction and see how best, they can also, maneuver to deploy their SMRs and stuff like that, right? And you can also sort of do a longitudinal study where, you compare my research to, like, let's say, future research, right?
Right.
Because this one is going to be concluded very soon. So let's say in the next 10 years, somebody might look at my paper and try to apply it to a different jurisdiction and see the changes that has actually occurred with regards to, the processes
right
that have been employed to deploy SMRs in Saskatchewan right now.
Right. All different time periods.
Yeah. Different time periods.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Exactly.
Okay. Can you share some of the platforms or opportunities that you've had to disseminate your research?
Yeah, so I would say thanks to my supervisor, I've had the opportunity to be on bigger platforms, like, let's say, highly recognized platforms, attending conferences and getting the opportunity to share my research. So the most recent one was when I got to travel to Paris to attend a nuclear energy agency program, where I had the opportunity to share part of my research with patrons of the NEST program, or the Nuclear Education and Skills Training Program under the NEA. Yeah, so at that conference, or like at that meeting, I had the opportunity to share part of my research and my experience with the program over the years, because I've had opportunity to be part of their programs in 2021, and then in 2024 as well. So automatically, I'm one of their fellows.
Okay.
And most of their programs end with, let's say, pitch competitions about SMR deployment in a particular geographical area and stuff. So this one is mostly done in teams. So the first one that I did in 2021, my team won.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
So we we intended to deploy high temperature gas reactor to help the operations going on in the Alberta oil sands. And that one is the competition. And then in 2024 too, we intended to deploy an MMR in a community in Nunavut called Iqaluit.
What's MMR?
MMR is like micro reactor.
Okay.
Yeah, it's another form of SMR, but that one is smaller.
Smaller, okay.
Yeah, so we wanted to deploy that MMR in Iqaluit, which is a community in the Nunavut, to help with power generation and let's say agriculture production.
Okay.
Yeah, through hydroponics and stuff. Yeah. So that 1-to-1 is the competition. So I'm like, yeah, 2-time winner of that
Awesome.
competition, and I got that got me the opportunity to be in Paris,
Right.
and I was selected among 10 best fellows across
Congratulations.
like 8 countries, because they have over 300 fellows, and I was selected as part of the best 10 fellows
Wow.
to be a part of that program. And at that program too, we stood a chance of winning prizes.
Mm-hmm.
And my presentation also won me the third prize.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so
Wonderful.
that was like, I got like €1,000 cash prize to support
Your research.
research development.
Mm-hmm.
Academic and research development.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so let's say, so that was the most recent one.
Mm-hmm.
Me getting the opportunity to present part of my research in Paris. And then the other one was getting the opportunity to attend the Canadian Nuclear Societies conference, that the G4SR,
Mm-hmm.
that is Generation 4 and Small Modular Reactors conference, that is being held annually. So this was the 5th edition, which was held at Ottawa.
Okay.
Yeah, so at the innovation night, I had the opportunity to do a 3-minute presentation of my research to the audience over there.
Okay.
And also had the opportunity to present this particular poster at that conference.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
so these are some of the platforms that
Very
I've been
good.
able to, disseminate my research.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Are there any people along your journey to becoming a Master of Public Policy student that inspired you to get in here, or through the program, that have served as a source of inspiration for you and for your work?
Yeah, so I can mention a couple of people, and the first person on the list is, of course, my supervisor. I see her to be a very serious researcher, somebody who is very serious about her work. You always see her traveling across the globe to make meaningful contributions towards climate change mitigation and stuff. So she's always been an inspiration to me, and she's always pushing me to, get serious with my work and creating opportunities and platforms for me to share my research, because I think that is, upon enrolling into this program, I've realized the essence of research is you being able to share findings, or getting the opportunity to share findings of your research with a larger audience. And my supervisor has always been pushing me to do that. And she's always encouraged me to, keep on with my work, because there are times that, I feel overwhelmed. I get stuck. I don't know where to go to, I don't know where to go,
Mm-hmm.
the direction to go with my research anymore. But anytime that I have a meeting with her, I seem to get fresh ideas as to where, or as to the next direction that I need to go with my research. And of course, you yourself. Yeah, I always say it, you've been a big inspiration to me in this program, or in this MPP journey, because when I started, you were like in your second or first year of the program, and you had substantive experience with regards to how things are done at JSGS and then in Canada in general. So, whenever I come to you for directions, you've always been supportive. You've always been available for me, and you've been directing me as to the right things to do with regards to my research. And your personal achievements as a student at JSGS and University of Regina as a whole has always served as an inspiration for me to push harder with my research, because I believe, as a racialized person, as yourself, if you can do it, then I can also do it. So you've always served as a great inspiration for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I use this platform to say a big thank you, especially to my supervisor and yourself, for always being there for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's always a pleasure. Now, my final question: just as you've had people who have inspired you, there are most likely people in your past who have looked up to you as an inspiration those that are looking up to you now, and those that will look up to you in the future. So if you had any advice to give to somebody who is looking to go through your same journey to becoming a Master of Public Policy student and almost completing and the graduate research that you have done, if you're given any advice to out there, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to take your same path?
Yeah, I would say, you know, as a believer, as a Christian, I would say that you should always first believe in God, right? Because I believe all wisdom and knowledge come from God. So if you don't believe in God, then you can't really do anything. So first, believe in God and believe in yourself as an individual. Believe in your abilities and your capabilities, you know, as an individual. You know, don't sort of discourage yourself from doing something. You will never know if you can do it unless you try. Because personally, coming into this program, I had little to no research experience. So to get to this point and sit here to share my research is like an amazing thing for myself. Because, you know, I never imagined me getting to this stage of my research, right? When I first started the program and I looked at even people's research proposals, like 30-page document, I was asking myself, and it was like a nightmare to me, like, will I really be able to produce a document like this when the time is up? You know, so I was skeptical, but I kept believing in myself that, hey, the fact that I got admission into this program means that I'm one of the best students, and therefore the professors see something in me. So I have to believe in myself as well, and I don't need to let them down. I don't need to let the people looking up to me down. So I always had to encourage myself that, look, you can do it regardless of the situation. If some people have been able to do it, you can also do it. So always believe in yourself and have that dedication to do something for yourself and also for the good people that are out there looking at you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for joining us on the ARMS podcast. It's been a pleasure chatting with you about your research and getting to share your experiences with our viewers out there as well. So thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity as well, because I always say I use these platforms as a learning, you know, experience for myself, because I want to be doing something greater in future, and it starts from here. I want to be standing in front of Senate, you know, talking about issues regarding policy development and innovation and stuff. So it will start from here. And I'm so grateful to you for giving me such an opportunity to share my research and also to develop my presentation skills or communication skills through this platform. Awesome. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you so much for tuning in to Academic Research Made Simple podcast, sponsored by the Digital Research Alliance of Canada. Please tune in again for more discussions on incredible research work being conducted by racialized graduate students and racialized faculty.